Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this special meeting of December 15th, 2025. We have again acknowledged today we're moving in Treaty 5 territory. So with this, I will call the meeting to order. Somebody should have a resolution to adopt the agenda.
There's one item to actually added in camera, discuss, if nobody has any objections. Resolved that the agenda be approved by myself, second by Councillor Atkinson, removed, resolved that the agenda be adopted as amended.
Call the question, all in favor? Opposed, none opposed, carried. Just as a note, Councillor Allen did send regrets. He got called away this morning for work. He was hoping he may show up later. And I have not heard from Councillor Forster.
And he has said I won't be able to make it today.
Councillor Forster also sent his regrets.
And just so I'm not perceived as rude, I have another meeting at 1 o'clock, but I
Yeah,
can't,
we
should
should-
reschedule, so in case it does go long, I will have to slip out.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, we'll push to be done by then, Councillor. So this meeting is just really to have a quick discussion regarding some capital questions that council had. And really just to show that we're looking into the future, not just into today, on how we finance our community. So with that, I will pass it over to our controller, Laura.
Okay, so there was a couple of questions that were brought to my attention that you had with regards to 2025 capital, which you'll see here on the screen. I just wanted to bring to council's attention that there's $462,000 that was put into the 2025 taxation or mill rate that was scheduled for capital, and to give you progress on what these look like right now. Most of them are completed. There will be $295,000 that will be carried forward into next year. So what happens is we'll basically defer that. So we're spending the money in 2026, but we've still only taxed in 2025. They're not going to get taxed again, even though we haven't spent that money in 2025.
And I guess that's just the important thing for people to understand when they're looking at budgeting is that when we do tax in that current year, if there's a carry forward portion of that for the next year due to whatever constraints that have run into by staff to execute the project, that funds gets proposed to move into reserve so that the project can be completed in 2026, correct?
Yeah, we can move it into reserve, or we can, there's a couple different ways we can do it.
Okay.
So that is one of the options, yes. But either way, it doesn't affect taxation next year. And that's the important thing for everyone to understand. So my apologies that I couldn't be here for the last capital meeting. I was still away. But this, again, kind of going back to that 5-year capital plan that we showed you earlier, I wanted to, now there's no changes on the actual capital plan itself, but what I wanted to bring to your attention is I did add at the bottom of it the borrowing limits for what we are currently at and what it's going to look like in 2026 when those debentures expire. So the first part of that calculation, which they call our debt capacity, is the remaining authority that we can borrow. So currently it's 3.3 million. Once those debentures expire and the final payment is made in December of 2025, in 2026 we'll be looking at 8.1 million that we're going to be allowed to borrow. Now that is also this is looked at along with our ability to pay. So that's the second calculation. That's the max amount that our payments can be. So it currently is $898,000 a year, and in 2026 it'll be $1.2 million. So the payments can exceed that, and the borrowing of the new debentures can exceed the $8 million. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Is that based on a debenture over what period of time?
The debenture over what period of time, that can vary depending upon what we're doing and how we want to taxation this out, but this is the base part of that calculation. So if we wanted to go 20 years instead of 10 years on a $7 million one in order to not exceed that 1.2, then that's what we have to look at when we're making those decisions and doing those borrowing filings.
Yeah, so today, in 2026, the availability of borrowing is $8.2 million, you're saying, right?
For January 1st of 2026, it'll be $8.1 million.
Yeah, or yeah, sorry, it's hard to see. And then on 2020, in 2026, seven,
26.
what would it be in 2027? Does that, when is the debentures closing?
The debentures close at the end of 25.
Okay.
The two of them.
Yeah.
So right now in 2025, this is like today, this is what we're looking at.
Okay.
But as of January 1st, 2026, this is what we're looking at because those two debentures expire. The next one doesn't expire until 2027.
Okay,
And I'm glad you pointed out, just for the people listening, it's basically we're extending our credit line on ability to pay.
Yeah.
and so just as we were sitting here, I think it's, I wanna make sure that I share it as quickly as possible. I just received two letters with regards to the GROW applications. We were approved for 1.375 million for the Norman Recreational Renewal Project. And we also received the 2.5 million for the Regional Arts, Culture and Learning Center. So that is great news and a great
I just got it.
recognition to our community, so. We'll have to build that into our plan for next year, which I believe it's already identified in our plan.
The 1.3 for the Norman Regional Recreation is, so if we actually look at our year one, so this would be 2026. We have that built into the reserves and into the, actually I should go back here so you guys can see the actual side of it itself. That's this one here. So there was a portion of it, 1.33, that was being suggested to council that maybe we look at doing a debenture for this.
So we have 1.37.
Yeah. 1.37 was gonna be grants and 1.33 was gonna be for a debenture. So if you guys wanna go ahead with this project now, then we need to consider doing the bylaw.
No, absolutely. I think it's something that needs to land on council's desk at the next council meeting, so that we can move quickly and have this done quickly.
Okay. You'll talk to Joe more about having something to council for next meeting?
Yes, it's just coming
Okay.
this.
Thank you, Nicole. So in saying that, if we were to look at cost of borrowing, so these rates come from the province. This is usually where we get our debentures. In the past, we've done some investigating into where we're gonna get the best rate, and standardly always comes back the best rate of the province. When we look at the banks, our various options to us, and we looked at the provinces usually come back with the lowest rate, not to say that they always will. So it's just what I've given you now for comparison. This is the provincial rate for debentures as of December 1st of 2025.
Is there other places we can look?
Absolutely, and we will shop around, it's just I wanted you guys to be able to have
Yeah.
something to look at for comparison of what we may possibly be looking at. If we are going to go over $2.5 million for a debenture though, then we actually have to go to the province for a quote.
Yeah, and I think like the Canadian Infrastructure Bank and Western Diversification Group or whatever that thing's called, Western Economic Diversification or something. You know, I think those are sort of areas we could look. I know other municipalities have used portions of those groups
Okay,
to help fund long-term generational type of, or a long-term sort of project.
okay, I will look into those definitely. I also wanted to bring to your attention that when I did the quarterly, there's a quarterly update that CPA Canada puts out. And I wanted to just bring to your attention something that they put in there, that they are expecting the rate cutting cycle to come to an end. So they're projecting that rates are going to basically stay stagnant for the next couple of years. So that rate that we're looking at there is gonna be pretty close, I would say. The other thing I wanted to bring to your guys' attention of just what we could save if we move some of those paving projects up. So we're looking at years 1, 3, and 5 doing separate paving projects, which means mow and demow for each of those years. Now, if we were to roll that up just into year 1, the cost of savings on the interest for that mow and demow would be $170,000. And this is, I've done this calculation over a 10-year period.
So what you're saying, just so I'm clear and everybody's listening is clear, so instead of how we phase the paving in over multiple years, if you pulled it into 1 year, borrowed the money for it. And if you now think about the cost of doing it in 3 separate phases, each time we do that, there's a cost of about $300,000 that would
Oh,
go.
350,000,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cost every single time we bring them here. So if you actually bring those projects all together, borrow the money for it. Even though you're paying interest, you're getting the work done earlier. And you're actually saving money in the long run because you're not paying that mobilization 3 times. So the savings on top on that, even though you're paying interest, is the 170.
Yeah.
And I guess, just for my information, I was just thinking out loud, is that we really don't have enough reserves funds to not borrow money. So one of the things that's happened over the last number of years is that there maybe hasn't been enough reserves for a long time being moved. But there is also, councils have been spending the money that they needed to make sure that they're repairing. So I think it's a bit of a balance. So yeah, no, this is a good way of thinking it, because I think what we get caught up sometime is in the decision of the day. And sort of losing track of long-term what the impacts are.
I also, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the other thing that comes into play there too is any cost increases are gonna be, you're gonna.
Yeah, there
you're
are.
gonna have to.
Yeah.
We also might move up on the priority scale when you're spending $3 million as opposed to $1 million.
No,
Instead of it being the end of their season, we might see it a little earlier in the year and.
no, you're exactly right, yeah.
If we were to do a big project like this, we'd have them here for the whole summer, essentially, they'd be ours, right? Because
Yeah.
it would be such a big project.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And that might drive some more savings. The only thing that the only caution I would say is that this is why it's important for us to really understand the 5-year capital plan. Because as Laura has outlined, you only have a certain amount of borrowing you're allowed. And you don't want to borrow too much too quick, because it could impact you on other projects that you have in line. So really understand, having a more realistic 5-year plan, so that you know where your spending is, sort of helps sort of understand that long-term costs and impacts. But I agree, like as Councilor Manich says, is maybe it's maybe the paving project is in 2026, maybe it's 2027.
And we consider rolling all 3 out.
And yeah, and then pulling in year 5 into year 2 and year 1 into year 2 and going out next year to get the engineering done early in January, so that in May of next year, we have a paving contract here for summer. Doing a lot more work.
Now, one thing that I did recommend when I was first had this capital presented to council is that this be done with a local improvement levy. Now, I don't know if council is in agreement with that. And the reason I say that is because we've now redone all the major roads that are going through the town. Now we're looking at individual residential areas where only certain people are going to be affected. And that's usually where your local improvement levies come in. But again, it's council's decision if you want to just do a regular debenture that affects all taxpayers, or if you want to consider a local improvement levy for just those areas that we're going to be doing the paving projects on. And then as we keep renewing all those residential areas, everyone gets that local improvement levy.
Yeah, we should look at all those options for sure, so we know what it looks like. I think that's also a discussion when we're talking about like roads or like major equipment purchases,
Yeah.
like loaders and fire trucks and stuff like that.
Well, we can't do local improvement levies on those. We can do debentures, yes.
Yeah, that's one.
Yes, okay,
But you can also do special service levy.
correct, yes, yes.
Just off the top, I wouldn't support a local movement levy for some areas.
Okay.
Pick a street that we've been working on, shaving, paving, if we were to do that and just charge them again.
Yeah.
Community use all roads.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So maybe we'll have to just come up with a couple of different scenarios.
Yeah.
If council's in agreement with us rolling this all up into 1 year, then I can have the discussion with engineering about presenting a few different options to council and what this will look like as far as the project itself goes, as well as how we're gonna fund it.
Yeah, I think we should look at it. We should see the option anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Swan River, they did that local improvement levy in one of their residential areas and it didn't go over well.
Where was this for?
Swan River,
Oh,
I think it was probably 6 or 7 years back.
Okay.
And, taxes increased a lot.
it will,
A
because
lot.
unfortunately that project is
Yeah.
specifically targeted for that area,
Yeah.
but that's what local improvement levies
Yeah.
were kind of, the reason they were invented.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we're very limited under the municipal act as to how we can kind of do these, so it's just an option that council needs to be aware of.
yeah, I mean, my understanding of those is too, don't they usually get pushed to like new development
was-
areas? Yeah.
Yes.
You can do all sorts of different
Okay,
things,
yeah, I don't know much about that.
Yeah, you can do all sorts of different things, and if this is something that, and again, we'll just give you the options and you guys can make the
Yeah.
decision, but I can have a discussion with engineering.
Looked at that years ago doing the Halco Avenue, and there's only residents on. the
Yeah.
side. Imagine what it was.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Avoided.
So, okay.
No, I think this is good, I appreciate your work that we've done on this, you've done on this, Laura. I think, for council, it helps us make better decisions going forward, with what we need to do and what's the right decision to do with our ratepayers' money.
Yeah,
So that, if $170,000 is almost a whole mill rate. So, that's why, if we're trying to do the right things, we should be doing it this way.
I'd like to see a commitment done on this, during 2026 before October.
Yeah,
I have faith in members present here today make a logical, financially responsible decision. And I would like to walk in the next council. This is already in motion and if we can keep it going like that, do it.
no,
good idea. Okay, so I just wanted to go through screen the reserves a little bit for you as we had originally laid them out in the 5-year capital plan, just so that council can be brought to the attention of, so we do have the expiring debentures in 2026. This is the payment amount that we are currently paying per year. And in this, the recommendation here is to 135 to the Samoa Museum. That is for the second phase of that redesign of the museum. And then to the parks projects. As you can see, none of the closing balances are in negatives. We're making sure that everything is staying in the positive and moving things around accordingly as we have to. There's no additional contributions being put into the reserves from tax appropriation, except for down here where I've outlined there's going to be a couple of different things we're going to need to make up for.
what is the best practice from this controller CA old world, with regards to percentages going to reserves? Based on
To
regular
survey each one of them. I believe that it's going to really depend on what state their municipality is in and the projects that they have on the go. I don't know if there's going to be any stats necessarily on that, but I can definitely look into it.
Well, it would be interesting. I know I've heard some municipalities really ideally what we would want to do is do all of our borrowing from ourselves and have reserves big enough where we don't have to spend any interest. And I know that there might be some municipalities that can do that. But I guess it's just interesting to, just as an interest point, is where we would rate against other municipalities,
Yeah,
just as a
Definitely.
curiosity.
yeah, I can definitely look at that, compare total taxation to contributions to reserves and kind of see where
Yeah.
everyone is landing. Yeah, all financial statements are public and online, so I can pull it up from their website. It's not a problem.
And again, we talked earlier about, talked around about when these debentures expire, where the money is going to go. And it wasn't talked about putting it into machinery replacement reserve.
It's just that when I did the finalization of laying this all out to be able to see what exactly are the manager's needs versus where our reserves were, In this particular year, the Sound Museum and the parks were the more needed place to put this money. Now, if council doesn't agree with that, we can definitely shift it around. In year two, that's where some of it does go. It goes into the machinery and operating. As you can see up here, there's $45,000 of that. But again, Sound Museum was needing some money for the big projects that they're trying to do to get the museum up to where they needed to be, and the machinery and replacement didn't need the money. As you can see in year two, their closing balance is still $585,000, so I didn't want to put the money there where it could be used better elsewhere.
Can you push, good, so, and that's with, that's, so last year, so go back to machinery,
In 2026?
yeah. And that's with us actually purchasing a new loader this year, right?
Yeah, we'd still have $220,000 left in there, so
Yeah.
it wasn't needed in that particular area, so I was trying to move it to where it was needed the most. And again, in year three, you can see that now we're looking at actually having debentures. So I've got nothing up here. I haven't added any more into there because now we're gonna be probably getting new debentures for our various projects.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing too with the debentures. We have to decide on what's the duration of those,
Yes.
which sort of goes back into the payments. My thinking is right now, just without knowing the numbers, but my thinking is that shorter is better. And, as long as it doesn't match, it goes into that $800,000 and then what the municipality is getting for it, plus what's happening behind that.
Yeah.
So we probably should see some options on like a 5-year, 8-year, 10-year sort of.
Sure. Yeah, I've done those ones right now
Yeah.
for 10 years, so they'll definitely provide you with some options.
No, this is very good.
And again, when you're looking in year three, there's only 15,000 additional funds that we're asking for from the mill rate to support some of these capital projects. The rest of it is being covered by the reserves. And in year four, again, we're gonna have new debentures, so I haven't included in there, but we're gonna be asking for both to come from the mill rate. Again, the rest of it coming from reserves. The projects are dwindling down by this time.
I'm just hoping from general operations, we can figure out how to get some savings so that we can not have anything coming in.
And in year five, they're asking for another big purchase again, so they're withdrawing $500,000 from this, but again, still leaving $304,000 in machinery and equipment.
And that's for what in year 5?
In year five, what is it for? Oops,
That's a nice speech.
I can't get rid of this stupid thing.
Don't believe it. Maybe I'm gonna go around.
Yeah, it's in the way, that little button. Public Works year five is the replacement of the excavator, unit 97.
Okay.
This is really good, Laura. Thank you.
So how confident, like, well, I guess we have backup for all of the items that we've identified. And I guess we really have to understand sort of what the risks are and what the values are, like how real is that, like. So we want it to be as, like with our priorities, you know, is everything on that 5-year plan really something that we need to do? And if we're missing anything, I'm just thinking out loud, that's all.
I mean, there's always a possibility we're gonna miss something. This is gonna have to be a live document that we're gonna have to look at and adjust every year, given what might or might not happen. But this is about as close as they could come at this time.
Yeah.
One of the things that is missing from Public Works, and we won't be able to get that information until probably the end of 2026, is the actual fleet of the trucks. And that this, in 2026, they proposed purchasing that software that is gonna be able to help track things a little bit better, so that they're gonna get a better handle on when and what pieces of equipment need to be replaced in the truck fleet. So that is one thing that I know for sure is missing from here. We have no truck replacements in.
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned it as well. It would be interesting to understand what a leasing arrangements would be for the fleet as well as with the loader when it comes to purchasing. What would it be, what would it look like as a lease? And
The big
finance,
equipment is super, super expensive. We've actually looked at it and it seems to be almost outrageous.
well, I do know municipalities do that. So it would be, it's now, it just takes the load off yourself where you don't have to maintain it and
Yeah.
you.
And we've also taken a look at what it would look like if we just turned our whole fleet.
I know the cost, but I don't know exactly what it's doing.
Um,
I just have questions around it.
you're talking about the software that they want to purchase? It's supposed to be able to monitor the cost of what we're putting into the units right now as far as maintenance and parts and labor and all that kind of stuff. So that they can then determine, okay, if I'm dumping only $2,000 into this 2015 vehicle, is it worth replacing it? Probably not at $2,000 a year. But if I'm dumping $20,000
Yeah.
into it, then I need to consider replacing this vehicle.
So. But is it
Baseline.
monitoring the vehicles as well? Like, is it part of?
You mean like
punching
GPS?
in? Yeah.
I'm not sure
all
if
of
it
that
includes
too.
something
I
like
don't
that.
know
That
if
would be a
that's part of
discussion
it as well, yeah.
You'd have to ask Tanvir and Sammy.
I just
Sorry.
have more, it's okay. I just have more questions around it. I'm not opposed to it. I just have more questions surrounding it.
Did they put any details in their capital request sheet with regards to that?
Have to go back. I think this is a question that's been floating in my head for a couple of weeks now around it.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head if they addressed that
Mhm.
particular item in their capital request sheet. And if they didn't, again, my apologies, that would have to be a question for Sam.
That's fine.
Well, one of the advantages of leasing, if you're a company, is you have a write-off. For the municipality, I don't know if that's such a big thing.
It's not, the big thing is it stabilizes our repairs and maintenance.
Yeah.
It makes it better for budgeting and taxation when things are more stable and but what we're seeing right now is those peaks and valleys because some of our vehicles are very old and some of them are new and just trying to level that out so everything is a little more stable for both us as managers and budgeting, but also for the taxpayers.
Yeah, you're either paying for it up front through the lease or you're.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now.
Yeah,
But I think the program that Sam was looking at, Tanvir, to monitor the vehicles, maintenance and all of that, I think that's gonna be.
I think it'll help identify whether or not that's a good option for us.
Any other questions for Laura? No, I appreciate the information, Laura. I think it's clears up a lot of things. I know we had questions about how the money that we budgeted for 2025 gets moved to 2026. It's good for our community to see that, this administration's got a good look forward plan that they can look at. And as you mentioned, like a 5-year plan is a little fluid, so you're gonna have things that come up, you're gonna have things that shift around, but hopefully our staff and engineering have looked into it as deeply as possible. And there's some things in there like looping water lines on Centennial Drive and stuff could potentially help generate future other taxation opportunities. So good, anything else?
Just a question on the Saskatchewan River waterfront. What was identified in there for?
What's that for?
For the reserve account.
Yeah.
So I actually had this conversation with one of our previous employees that was here because I wasn't 100% sure. The bylaw for this particular reserve is very vague. But my understanding is that there was a plan at some point in time in the past to
Yeah.
develop that riverfront area. I believe there's some sort of plaque or memorial that's down there right now, and that was kind of the start or part of it. And then nothing ever got done. And I'm not really sure if anyone else here has information.
Well, I think what our council have been talking about is that the Rotary, you know, we want to partner with the Rotary. Because they're doing a big, they want to do a big project to celebrate their 100th year or something. Can't remember what number of years. And I think ours would be more was a financial contribution to help sort of support that program. I believe when we were talking, the CDC was going to be working with the Rotary and sort of tie that into the whole trappers and how that all looks.
And develop that.
And then, yeah, so we want to partner with the Rotary, they want to do something on the riverfront, and so for us is that instead of everybody doing their own thing. That, you know, if Rotary is gonna do that, we'll support Rotary, and if the council or the community needs at that time to make a financial contribution, then we will do that at the time, right? I think that's what we talked about.
Talked about that, and I guess one of the other things we talked about, I don't know, this is not the venue for it, but the rezoning
Yeah.
idea seems to be moving at glacial speed to come to council. Maybe remind whoever's going to bring that to us.
My understanding is the developer is just, I asked the same question late last week, that they're pushing on the developer to get the drawings.
But we don't even need anything.
No, I know.
All we need to do is, we're gonna rezone the
Yeah.
whole thing, and it can still remain as
Yeah.
a park. And then it's just one obstacle that's out of the way.
We
Yeah.
should do something to discuss. I believe Ash, our new staff, is drawing something from them.
And just take a picture of, you know, the legal
Yeah.
area of the park. What's the process? We're gonna rezone it, and pretty simple.
Yeah.
Maybe not so simple, but if we can't get that done, it's gonna hold up a lot of things.
Cool. Okay, anything else, guys? Okay, so I think that's all we had for this. Thank you. The discussion we're having now in camera has no there will be no decisions. It's really I'll just say a financial discussion. So with that, want to thank the Pod Community Renewal Corporation for the awesome parade they had on the weekend. Though it was -40 outside, it was lots of people out. And speaking to Desiree, that was the best parade they ever had, so bigger and better, so. And again, I just want to recognize Wola, you and your staff for all the great job on the decorations. The feedback has been nothing but positive, so keep up the great work. It does show some pride in the community. So with that, can we move into